For 3 straight years, my birthdays came and went. No gifts, just you have everything. Anyway, this year, I spent $12,000 on a private dinner and sent a wish list. Nothing over $50. My mom texted, "Seriously? Asking for gifts now. I'm not coming." I replied, "Got it." No one showed up. 12 plates, 0 guests. The next morning, I paused my automatic family support. 5 days later, Mom texted, "Rent is due." I simply replied, "I turned 33 last week." And for the third year in a row, I woke up to silence. No texts, no calls, not even a thumbs up in the family group chat. Just a quiet apartment, a full calendar, and a bottle of wine I'd bought myself the night before. The last time I got a birthday gift from my family, it was a dish towel. That was 3 years ago. The year before that, my brother Eric sent me a gif of a clown honking its nose. And last year, nothing. Not even a meme. They always had some excuse. You're always working anyway. You live so far. You already have everything. And maybe they were right. I do well. I live in a good neighborhood. My job pays 6 figures. I travel when I want. I don't need gifts. I never did. But I wanted something else. Presents, not presents. So this year, I did something different. I booked a private dining room at one of the most elegant restaurants in the city. 12 seats, personalized menus, a string quartet, champagne on ice. I paid up front. $12,000, all in. Just for family. No friends, no coworkers, just my blood. I sent the invitation on a Monday, 2 weeks before the date. Along with it, I attached a small wish list. 7 items, each under $50. Coffee beans, a hardcover novel, a wool blanket, a candle, nothing luxury, nothing flashy. I kept the message short. No pressure, just things that bring me peace. I'd love to see you there. By noon, I got a text from Eric. "Wait, you're asking for gifts now? Sis, seriously? You drive a Tesla and you want socks?" I didn't reply. 2 hours later, my mom messaged, "Seriously? Asking for gifts now? That's a little much. You have everything anyway." Then another. "I'm not coming. It's too much for a simple dinner." Eric agrees. Then silence. I refreshed the RSVP list every day that week. 0, 0, still 0. And yet, I kept the reservation. Part of me hoped someone would change their mind, that maybe Mom would realize this wasn't about the gifts, that Eric would show up late with his usual smirk and a half apology, that someone, anyone, would come and see me. The night came. I wore my best dress and arrived 15 minutes early. The host greeted me with a warm smile and said, "Happy birthday, Ms. Thomas. Your room is ready." I stepped in. 12 candles flickered across a long oak table, white plates, gold-rimmed glasses, name cards at every seat. Mine was the only one used. I waited 20 minutes. The waiter approached me. "Would you like us to hold off on the second course?" I smiled. "No," I said. "Serve everything just like planned." I sat in that room for 2.5 hours, ate quietly, listened to the violinist play a piece I'd requested weeks ago, toasted to nothing. No one showed up. No one texted. No one cared. When dessert came, the waiter brought out a candle in the center of a tiramisu and whispered, "Happy birthday." I looked around the empty chairs and whispered back, "Thank you." Then I took a photo, the full table, untouched plates, 12 chairs, and I posted it to the family group chat. No caption. I wanted them to see it. I wanted them to feel it. This wasn't about things. It never was. It was about being worth the effort, about someone choosing to show up, but no one did. And the next morning, when I opened my banking app, I moved my thumb toward a tab I hadn't touched in years. Recurring transfers. And that was the beginning. It wasn't always like this. Or maybe it was. And I just didn't want to see it. Growing up, I was the quiet achiever. First job at 16. College on scholarship. Internship turned full-time job by 22. And by 27, I'd built a life with clean floors, direct deposits, and room temperature espresso. I paid off Mom's credit cards when she forgot about the interest. I covered 3 months of Eric's rent when he couldn't find freelance work. I replaced the family car without asking for anything in return. I didn't do it for praise. I did it because I could, and because I thought that's what families did. But slowly, and then all at once, it became expected. "You're doing well," Mom would say, eyes avoiding mine. Eric's still finding his footing. Footing, I once asked. He's 32. He's creative, she offered, like that was a job title. Eric, my younger brother, the golden boy of excuses. He failed upward, laughed through debt, and somehow still got Mom to call him her heart. He's the sensitive one, she told me once, as if I were made of stone. No matter how many holidays I paid for, how many bills I covered, how many emergencies I plugged, they always saw me as the one who already had enough. But birthdays, that was different. Every year since I turned 30, it was the same. No gift, but we made you a card. Didn't know what to get you. You already have everything. Eric said we should just do dinner. You can afford your own gifts. I swallowed it year after year. Cake that tasted like obligation. Cards with no signatures. Phone calls that lasted 30 seconds. But this year, my 34th, something inside me split. I'd worked 12-hour days for months, closed 2 massive deals, and the silence in my apartment had grown heavier. So I decided I would host a private dinner. Just 12 people, family only. I sent out a clean digital invite. Saturday, 7 p.m., private room at Elan. No RSVP needed. Just show up. And because I knew how it would go, I included a wish list. Nothing extravagant, nothing over $50, a reusable candle set, a notebook, ceramic mugs, a book I wanted to read, a small art print. It wasn't about the gift. It was about the gesture, about knowing someone had thought of me for more than the invoice I could settle. The next morning I got a reply. Not from Eric, not from Dad. From Mom. Seriously? Asking for gifts now? We're not doing that. I'm not coming. The message hit harder than I expected, not because she declined, but because of the tone. Cold. Final. Like I'd crossed some invisible line by asking for what? A $20 notebook. I didn't respond. But a few hours later, I checked the family chat. Eric had posted a meme. When the rich sister demands presents for existing. No one laughed. No one pushed back either. Then came the private message from him. You know we're all tight on money. You throwing a fancy dinner and asking for gifts? Grow up. That night, I stood in my kitchen and stared at the wine bottles I'd picked out for the dinner. Spanish reds, aged whites, handwritten tasting notes. And I thought about every single month I'd paid Eric's phone bill. The cable, the groceries, the Uber gift cards I'd emailed Mom just in case. I pulled out my laptop, paused, closed it, then reopened it. This wasn't revenge. This was recalibration. I opened the banking dashboard where all the standing payments lived, small amounts trickling out every week like silent apologies. And one by one I hit pause. Eric's rent support, paused. Mom's electric bill, paused. The shared Netflix I didn't even use anymore, canceled. I wasn't angry. I was just done being someone's emergency fund disguised as a sister. The next morning, my phone buzzed. Eric. Hey, Mom said you're being dramatic. Anyway, rent's due Tuesday. You forgot. I stared at the message for a full minute, then typed, let's talk boundaries. Hit send. Then, finally, I breathed. 3 days after my birthday, Mom posted a photo. It was Eric's anniversary with his girlfriend. Their 1-year milestone. A cake. Balloons. Dinner at a rooftop restaurant I recognized instantly because I'd taken Mom there for Mother's Day last year. The caption read, so proud of Eric and Noel. You two deserve the world. Always putting others first. Putting others first. I stared at the post, then zoomed in. The gift bag on the table had a tag I knew too well. My handwriting. I'd bought that luxury perfume for Mom 2 months earlier. Wrapped it. Added a tag that said, because you deserve something nice just for you. And now it was sitting beside Eric's girlfriend. I didn't text, I didn't call. But I scrolled, and there it was. Eric's comment under the post. Thanks, Mom. Also thanks for covering dessert again. You're the best. The same woman who told me a $35 gift request was childish had apparently dropped money on a dinner for 2. That's when it clicked. It was never about money. It was about narrative. Eric had spent years branding me, to them and to everyone. She's distant. She thinks she's better than us. She only gives money to feel superior. And slowly that poison worked. Because when I stopped giving, they stopped showing up. It wasn't punishment. It was disobedience. And now they were circling the wagons, rewriting reality. That same afternoon, I got a text from my aunt. Sweetheart, I heard about the dinner. Your mom says you uninvited them. That you were mad about not getting presents. I blinked. Uninvited? No. I scrolled up to the original invite. Reread it. Clean, polite, no pressure. But the damage was already done. Eric had spun the narrative again. Later that night, I was doing laundry when the phone rang. Dad. I almost didn't pick up, but something told me to answer. Hey, he said. Just checking in. Heard you were upset about the birthday. I'm fine, I said. You know your mom meant well, he continued, and Eric's struggling right now, with work, with money. There it was again. Struggling. Trying like he had for the last 12 years. Dad, I said quietly, did you know I paused the support payments last week? Silence. No, he said finally. She didn't tell me exactly. I'd been sending weekly transfers to cover utilities at their house, electricity, internet, water. And yet somehow, when I hit pause, it became my betrayal. She said you ghosted, Dad added. Cut the family off. No, I said. I hosted. I gave them a table. They chose not to sit. I swallowed. You know what I got for my birthday, Dad? He hesitated. I don't. 12 empty chairs. He exhaled slowly. I'm sorry, Natalie. I really am. But I didn't need his apology. I needed him to see. To stop letting Eric shape the story. I didn't argue. I didn't explain further. Instead, I did something I hadn't done in years. I posted a simple photo of the birthday table. 12 chairs, one person seated. The caption read, "Some birthdays remind you of the silence you've been funding." I turned off comments, but the damage was already done. By evening, I had 6 missed calls from Mom, 2 from Eric, 1 from Dad. Then came the final message from Eric. You made your point. Congrats. Now the whole family thinks I'm a leech. And finally, a message from Mom, not the usual defensive tone. This one was short, unfamiliar. He's coming home. I didn't understand until the next day. Dad showed up at my office, not in his usual faded jeans and polo. He wore a blazer, a tie. His face was set, serious. I filed for separation, he said, almost casually. And I've started the process of reclaiming the title on the car. I blinked. Wait, what? He sat down across from me. I never agreed with how things were handled, he said, but I let it happen. That was my mistake. I stared at him. For the first time in years, maybe decades, I saw the father I remembered from childhood. The one who fixed the broken shed door, who drove across town in the rain when I got a flat tire. You shouldn't have had to beg for respect, he said. That ends now. And just like that, the narrative cracked. Eric had spent years rewriting the story, but now the pen was out of his hand, and I was holding it. The post stayed up for 8 hours. No edits, no comments allowed, just a silent snapshot of 12 plates, untouched napkins, and a single chair pulled out. Me. At first, it was quiet. Then my phone lit up like a slot machine. 10 missed calls, then 15, then 23. By midnight, 56. I didn't answer a single one. Eric texted at 1:12 a.m. You think you're better than everyone just because you have money? Then, at 1:17. Don't play the victim, you did this to yourself. I read it twice. And laughed. Because that was it, wasn't it? Eric couldn't stand that I'd stopped playing along. That I'd stopped funding the version of the family where he was the scrappy underdog, and I was the cold, distant sister who only showed up when it made him look good. But I was done being the background donor in someone else's fairy tale. The next day, I walked into work with a clear head. My assistant looked up. Your brother dropped by this morning, she said, lowering her voice. He tried to get into your office, said it was urgent. I froze. What? Security walked him out, she said. But he said you owed him an explanation. Something about airing family business online. He was spiraling. He had no control anymore. And for someone like Eric, who built his whole identity on manipulation masked as charm, that was the real threat. Not my money. Not the dinner. Control. When I got home that night, I checked my mailbox. Inside was an envelope. No name, no return address. Just a handwritten note on a folded napkin. Hope you're happy. You've ruined Mom. She's crying every night. You wanted to be alone. Congratulations. No signature, but I knew the handwriting. I'd seen it on forged report cards in high school. Eric. This wasn't guilt. It was his last move. Emotional blackmail. But I didn't flinch. Instead, I opened my laptop and logged into the shared utility accounts I'd been covering for my parents for years. Electricity, internet, water. And one by one, I transferred financial responsibility back to their rightful owners. Not canceled, not cut off, just returned. Then I drafted an email to Mom. Dear Mom, this isn't punishment, it's a correction. For years I've been helping where help wasn't acknowledged, only expected. You taught me to give without keeping score. But Eric kept the scoreboard anyway. I'm done playing. If and when you want to talk, really talk, I'll be here. Love, your eldest daughter. I pressed send. That night, I slept deeper than I had in months. No alarms, no dread, just peace. Until 8:46 a.m. Urgent payment due. Final warning. Property tax. I blinked. That wasn't my house. I clicked the link. It was my parents' house, the one I'd been secretly covering taxes for because Mom once said, if the house goes, I go with it. But now she was telling my aunt I was heartless, that I walked away over a birthday. So I opened my banking app and paused the quarterly tax draft. No drama, no announcement. Just done. By noon, my cousin, Eric's closest confidant, texted me. You okay? Heard the family's frozen you out. I typed, deleted, typed again. Nah, I didn't get frozen out. I walked out. A week passed, then another. And the silence. Not peace at first. Cold, sharp, buzzing under the skin. I'd spent so long acting as life support for a family that never noticed I was gasping for air. Now, with the oxygen shut off, they were starting to choke. And the first signs came quickly. Mom cracked first. You made your point. Now please restore the payments. The bills are overdue. No apology, no accountability. Just an order disguised as surrender. I didn't reply. Eric followed. Don't let Mom suffer just because you're throwing a tantrum. That one made me laugh. Because he was the one who'd weaponized her pain like a crowbar, wedging it between us every time I dared ask for the smallest bit of care in return. And now, with his puppet strings cut, he couldn't control the story anymore. But I wasn't angry. That was the twist. I wasn't burning with rage. I wasn't seeking revenge. I didn't want them to hurt. I just wanted out. The next day I got a letter. A real one. From Dad. We hadn't spoken in nearly a year. Dad had always been the quiet one. Present, but passive. Always there with a shrug and a newspaper, watching everything unfold but never once raising his voice to question it. The letter was short. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. I thought staying out of it meant keeping the peace. But silence, I realize now, is complicity. You did nothing wrong asking for love, for recognition. I hope someday we earn the right to be in your life again. Asterisk. I read it twice. Then I folded it and placed it in a drawer I hadn't opened in years. The one labeled Keep. Not forget. Because finally, someone saw me. Not the provider, not the fixer, not support staff. Me. Then came the ripple. I got a call from my landlord. Hey, just a heads up, he said. Your brother came by asking if he could discuss your unit. What? I said, genuinely stunned. Said he's family. Claimed he had a business interest in your lease. Asked if he could negotiate a sublet since, in his words, you probably don't need a 2-bedroom alone. I stared at the wall, my coffee going cold in my hand. Eric was trying to move into my space, my life. Even after I cut ties, he found new ways to sink his claws in. That night, I changed the lock. Not because I was afraid, but because I finally understood something deeply. Boundaries aren't walls. They're doors with locks, and I choose who gets a key. Then came the final chapter. It was a Saturday morning. I was making breakfast, just eggs and toast, nothing special, when my phone buzzed. 52 new messages, all from the family group chat. I hadn't left it yet. I wasn't sure why. Maybe I wanted to witness the collapse. Maybe I needed proof. I opened it slowly. The messages blurred together. We've been thinking. Maybe we overreacted. Family isn't perfect. You've changed. Can we come over? We'll bring a cake. Just want to talk. Your birthday's next week. Then the last one. Please forgive us. I read every line. Every apology that wasn't really an apology. Every attempt at patching a hole they never admitted to making. And then I did it. I pressed leave group. A small action. Not angry. Not loud. Just final. My birthday came a week later. I didn't throw a party. Didn't send a list. Didn't book a dinner. But at 6:04 p.m., I sat by the window with a slice of cheesecake I bought for myself. My favorite. I lit a single candle. And for the first time in years, I didn't wish for someone to show up. I just sat there, alone, and full. Full of something I'd forgotten even existed. Peace. That's when I heard a knock at the door. I opened it. It was Dad. Just him. No flowers, no dramatics, just a card. He handed it to me and said, no expectations, just presents. Inside the card was a photo. Me, age 7, at a birthday party no one else came to. Just me and him, blowing out candles. You've always deserved more, he wrote. We sat quietly for a while. No big talks. Just 2 chairs. Some air, some healing. When he left, I didn't cry. I closed the door, locked it, and whispered, this year, I gave myself the gift I needed most. Space. It was just another morning. I wasn't expecting to see him. Fog rolled off the water. Seagulls screamed like they owned the place. I grabbed my usual coffee and headed for the pier. And there he was. Eric, sitting on the bench near the sea lions. The same spot we used to go as kids. He looked different. Not polished. Not loud. Not like the wedding day version of himself. Just quiet. A hoodie. Worn jeans. Eyes that had seen a few truths since the last time I'd looked into them. He stood when he saw me. No arrogance. No fake smile. Hey, he said, can we talk? We did. Nothing dramatic. No tears. Just real words, for once. He told me everything fell apart. The marriage didn't last. The brand deals dried up. The followers moved on. The image cracked, and underneath it, he found someone he barely recognized. I was wrong, he said, about everything. Then he asked, almost whispering, if you ever need help at your firm, I'll do anything. I just want to start over. I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I looked at him. This version of him. Broken, maybe, but honest. And now I'm asking you, would you give her brother that second chance after everything? Would you let him in, or would you let it go? Tell me, because I'm still sitting on that bench, and I haven't answered.